Hey folks, happy Thanksgiving soon. After tussling with general YouTube problems for the better part of a year and a half, I finally got monetization to work on my YouTube channel. In the past, I had not really been putting a whole lot of emphasis on my YouTube channel because I was never able to get Google AdSense to work, and I just tried to explore other avenues of making money off of content creation in other places. But now that I finally got that working, I decided, hey, why don't I give this a try and, maybe try putting out some more frequent content. And so I was playing with the idea of doing some, semi-daily or daily, video blogs like this, and thought I would give it a shot. And this is just all very, work in progress, up in the air kind of crap. So please just, give me any raw feedback you like if this is something that you're, are into or interested in. I'd love to hear, or if not, let me know. Maybe I can figure something else out. But I thought just as kind of a start, I would maybe do like a little drawing or something, and then just talk about a specific subject. I could maybe answer questions submitted from people, or particular subjects or things that come up depending on whatever's happening. Because this is just a quick and easy, simple sort of thing to try and do, and figured I would jump on it, give it a shot, and we'll see how it goes. So to start off, I thought something kind of neat to start off with this is just like a first episode, testing the waters kind of thing, was to talk about a question that I am frequently asked, which is how did I get into doing animation? A lot of people have been wondering that. I often get asked at cons or on panels or through emails and comments and things, and or like if I've been doing interviews for like people for like their school projects and stuff like that. And it's got a little bit of a story to it that I guess is worth telling, and I thought might just work as a nice starting point here. So it's weird because I got into animation kind of by default. Often when I write like bios for myself on like resume cover letters or for my site or something, I often word it as I've been animating since like 2004, but I've been a creator for my entire life. And that's true, as cheesy as that sounds. I've been creating characters, writing stories, and drawing, and doing all sorts of stuff since I was an infant, probably. I don't know. I've always had a fascination with that kind of stuff, and was really inspired by cartoons and movies and things growing up, and something about it was just kind of ingrained in me. And so I had always been producing things of different kind, not like I do now, obviously, but just I had always been writing stories and making little books and drawing stuff and coming up with ideas and writing down things in Microsoft Word or just shit like that. I remember I was really interested in specifically wanting to do games because I was seeing a lot of I grew up with like NES, Sega Genesis, Super Nintendo, N64, PS1, like kind of that era was where I started. I was seeing games were like an interesting avenue for telling stories, and I wanted to see about how you could do that. And so I was looking into how do you make games, and I wanted to learn how to program originally. I took a course at Computer Learning Center here in Long Island in the summer of 2004. And Mike Lucas was there too. I think I suckered him into it. I don't know if he was paying for it or if he was just kind of there with me just to hang out or something. But I was there to learn how to use Flash because I had been going to Newgrounds for a few years, and I was familiar with like Legendary Frog, who I have worked with now, and the Super Flash Brothers, and Richie and John Zerbs. I've also worked with all of them now as well. They've become friends. I kind of got into a lot of their stuff, and I was like, oh, I really want to learn how to use Flash. And they were doing Flash movies, of course, but I knew that you could do games in Flash using ActionScript. So I originally got into it for that purpose. And in fact, people who watch Tome would be interested to know that the first thing I set out to do, way overly ambitious for myself, was to make a Tome game. Or rather, in that case, a TTA, TV Tome Adventures game. I wanted to program a Flash game for Tome. For the whole story, the whole original first version of the story that I came up with many, many moons ago. And so I was looking into doing that, And I realized pretty quickly that programming was just not for me. It was just not something I particularly excelled at. Sad to say. I have major respect now that I've met a lot of programmers working on some of the indie games that I've had involved with in recent years. I have a huge appreciation for how hard programmers work and how intensive that kind of stuff can be. But it's not for me, and I gave up on that avenue pretty quickly. But the thing was, with learning Flash, I was learning how to not necessarily animate just yet, but I was learning how to make movies. Prior to that, I would experiment, doing stuff in like PowerPoint. I used to make like, little slideshow movies and things like that in my spare time. Sort of an early version of the balancing act universe and characters. If you guys have seen my thesis film before, a lot of that kind of stuff. And so I was interested, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna explore, see how this goes. And so I learned how to use Flash for making movies. And, started with some really basic stuff that all got, blammed off of Newgrounds when I'm, 15, 16 years old or whatever. So I started doing Flash movies then. That was summer of 2004. I did a couple things, and then I started doing TV Tome Adventures in, I want to say, August of 2004 or so. So that's where that started. And that went on for a long, long time until, 2006 or 7, I think. And, it was a big thing for me, and then when I started doing Parody Rangers, that was when I was starting to experiment more with doing hand-drawn graphics, because I, had become decently proficient at drawing with a mouse, and then eventually got a tablet, which was a huge thing for me. And then when I was in high school, I started testing for different colleges and things like that. And Mike, Lucas, and I went to a test program for, I think, 3 weeks at SVA, the School of Visual Arts, which we did eventually enroll at. And the weird thing was the test program was for the cartooning department, which was for comics. And I did it and I enjoyed it, and it was a lot of fun. And then Mike eventually, enrolled to the cartooning department fully. But when I applied for the school, the weird thing was I was more interested in animation. And by that point, I hadn't even really been doing that much actual animation, and by that I mean traditional 2D, drawing by drawing, frame by frame stuff. I had barely done any of that, but I was enveloped enough in filmmaking with doing all this stuff on Newgrounds and forming a little bit of a name for myself. Not a big one, mind you, but enough of one to where people knew what Parody Rangers was, and some people knew what TTA was. So I just kind of went from there, and then in my first year of college, I didn't necessarily think that I was hot shit or whatever, but I went in as if I knew something about the craft, and it wasn't until then that I really started learning exactly what animation was all about, and it really, really just opened up a whole lot of new doors for me, and I just threw myself into it 100%. And haven't looked back, and I've loved it ever since. I really got to know, in that first year, I think that was what just 100% sold for me. This is what I want to do. I need to do 2D animation, filmmaking, and etc. The drive came from I had always wanted to do an animated series or a movie or something, and doing stuff like Tome, and even before that, doing the Nintendo collabs and the Parody Ranger series and the original TTA and whatever, and just all that stuff. It was just kind of part of I need to fill this hole in me. I need to do this. I need to do this thing that this part of me that just I have to be doing animation. I have to be creating. I have to be filmmaking. It's just part of who I am. It's become part of who I am, and I would never trade it for anything. It's funny, I've often been told by many people, because anybody who knows me personally knows I talk an earful about voiceover, which is something that I'm very interested in and I care a lot about. But it's not my first passion, and people often are like, oh, why don't you focus on doing voiceover, because you're decent at it. You could probably do pretty well if you focused on that full time. Similar to how there are actors who like they pursue it because there's just nothing like that feeling of like being on stage or being in the recording booth or whatever. There's nothing else like that for them that can be replicated. For me, there's just absolutely nothing like the feeling of people getting invested in the cartoons that I make. Tome is still the consistent ultimate proof of that. Of like every time I look, this is part of why I never mind reading comments. I read every comment, every bit of feedback I can possibly find. I'm always just completely appreciative of whenever people care enough to say or think anything about something that I do. And with Tome, it's like I had a little taste of this when I was doing the original TTA, but like with Tome specifically, it just when people, oh, what's the deal with this character? Oh, why did they do that? Or why is this? Or, you know, if they're like perplexed about something or wondering about, oh, what's going to happen next? Or what's this character going to do? Or what's going on with this guy, etc. Like, that's like incredible to me that, because like I watch a lot of series. Like I can attribute that same kind of feeling of like, I don't know, like I'm watching Legend of Korra and I'm like, oh man, what's going to happen in the next episode? What's going on with this guy or that guy or whatever? Like it's cool. It's like it's part of the fun of getting into big universes with a million characters and a whole overarching world and everything and great stories. Like, just I get it. And the fact that I ever inspire those kind of thoughts within anybody over something that I made, and really like the stuff that I make, because I've never made a living off of doing this stuff, really. Just that's what's rewarding to me. I want to get to a point where I can live off of doing what I do, and I've had a lot of people that have wished me luck on that and have been very supportive of that, and it's awesome. And I'm never going to stop. I'm never gonna fold and start doing, I don't know, Let's Play channels or whatever. And like if you're into that, that's fine. I'm not knocking, but just I can't not do this. This is just what I have to. I feel I have to dedicate myself to this craft and this creative medium at all times. It's what I'm all about, and it will probably always be what I'm about, no matter what capacity I will be involved with it in. That was the sentence. I'm just, it's always going to be part of who I am, and it will always be what I do. And I appreciate each and every one of you, even for listening to this, whatever the hell this is, you know? So, yeah, all right, well, I think that wraps it up. That's pretty much the story. But, yeah, leave a comment, good or bad, liked it, hate it, let me know. If you have questions, if you want to submit anything, I'll read whatever. I'll see if any ideas come up for doing another one of these tomorrow or whatever. Again, happy Thanksgiving, and you can follow me on Twitter. I'm at Kirbifer, and you can check out more stuff on my site, chrisniosi.com. Check out Terrain of Magical Expertise, and yeah, that's about it. So thanks for listening, and again, happy Thanksgiving. See you guys.